Page 63, Joy to the World. On page 61, they're introducing you to whole steps and half steps. This is another piece I've been patiently waiting on. This is one of the things you really need. I wish they'd have presented this way up front. Whole steps and half steps. Follow along real carefully. They're really simple, but it's important you understand them. A half step is the shortest distance possible between any two notes in Western music. Now keep in mind, on all in my videos, I'm only talking about Western harmony, the kind of harmony we use here in the United States and most of the world. I'm not talking about harmony used in the Asian countries or the African countries where they have all different kinds of scales going on, or the Indian countries. I'm simply talking about Western tertiary harmony. A half step is the closest distance, the shortest distance between two notes. You call it a second. Yes, it is a second. On piano, it would be like two white keys without a black key in the middle. Here. That's a half a step. If there's a black key involved, then it's there. That's a half a step. So I go up half steps. All half steps. I hope that's clear. That's about all it is. It's half steps. A whole step is two wholes make a half. No, that's not right. It's two halves make a whole. I'm old, don't blame me. So if I take two half steps and I take that, it's a whole step. A whole step has one key, white or black, in the middle. A whole step is an interval of a second. So the half step and whole step, either one is an interval of a second. Because you can have different kinds of intervals. We didn't get into that either, did we? Stick around. So a whole step, half step, whole step. This is a whole step because there's one note in between. This is a whole step, because there's one note in between. Whole step, that's just two half steps. So, to get technical for just a moment, a third that we've been studying here, a major third, is 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 half steps. A minor third is 3 half steps. And that's across the board. I mean, you can rely on that no matter what the key is, no matter what's going on. Major third is 4 half steps. Count the number of half steps in any interval and it applies wherever. Comes in handy. Now on page 62, they finally introduce you to a C major scale. Hopefully you already know this because I've been encouraging you to go do my C major scale video where I teach all that stuff. Now a scale. And they're using tetrachords of 4-note chords. Just take the thumbs away and you got this. C to C. C major is a handy one to do as an example because it only uses the white notes on the keyboard. So it's here. C to C. C major scale. A scale is a mode. M-O-D-E. A mode. There's a bunch of different kinds of modes. I only deal with 2 kinds of modes in my videos. I deal with the Ionian mode and the Aeolian mode. So don't let the words throw you. You can look up mode if you want and see what it is. The Ionian mode is a major scale. The Aeolian mode is a minor scale. We'll get there eventually. We do cover the minor scales too. That's it. And a scale, or a mode, whichever, is simply a set pattern of whole steps and half steps. For major, it is whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. That's it. Follow that pattern, start on any key, white or black, and you will get a major scale. Minor scale's a different pattern. The other modes, slightly different pattern, and that's what defines them as the individual mode. They all have a particular sound to them. Jazz uses a lot of different modes. And blues. You get into the jazz stuff and you'll get a lot of modes. The modes were used a long time in the Middle Ages in singing things. You get that if you sing the old music, you'll get modes too. I won't get into it. We're just doing major and minor scales in these videos. And that's it. They show you the fingering and all that for it. I still prefer you go to my video on it because I talk about technique too, and that's important. So it isn't just playing the right notes and the fingering and all, it's how you're playing it physically. It makes a difference too. All that leads us up to Joy to the World. And the reason is because Joy to the World is one of those pieces, there's a few of them, that uses a major scale in the piece. So if I take a C major scale going down, C to C, and I go C major scale. If I add the rhythm to it that's in Joy to the World, I get Joy to the World. Ta-da! It's a C major scale. And you'll learn to see these patterns in the music. You'll see that group of notes, you think, oh, that's a scale. I can do that. And you'll group them together eventually. You'll see them so much, you'll see them. That's why we're going to do this particular piece for the scales. There are other pieces that use a scale too, but we won't get into them. One is enough. So follow their fingering, starting out in the left hand, and that is the fingering for a C major scale. 1, 2, 3, and you bring the thumb down for the G. So we'll learn to do that. Don't do any of this twisting stuff or any of that fancy stuff to do that. Just relax and bring the thumb underneath. It's not very far. And so it's another way of changing hand positions too, because we started out in this position. We ended up in this position. We changed hand position just because we did that thumb thingy. And the second line, starting with the third, pick up the third measure here. We'll start with the third measure. That's a C major scale going down. Follow that fingering. You're ending here, and then the left hand takes over. You're not using the D, but and then that's again the fingering. It's the fingering for the scale. That's all it is. So follow that. At the bottom, the last line, right hand. You have the F here, and then the eighth notes, then the octave. You got to reach up to the octave, and then clasp your hand, and your third finger on the A, and then cross over to the. This is again a C major scale fingering. You're just not using all the notes in the scale. That's fine. Here, and then you're there. So very carefully, one hand at a time, work out the notes. Get the notes in the fingering. You don't have to worry about rhythm at first if you don't want to. Just do that, because in the second line, first two measures, that second measure, you're playing that C with a fermato with fourth finger. But now you're going to, the quarter note C, you're going to use fifth finger. So you're just going to go here. Lift up. It's between phrases. Just lift up. And you changed hand position. We're moving around good now. So work out these fingerings, and whenever you get those, in each hand by itself, the left hand, you're just doing the scale, and then you're here, and then second line chords, and then the end of the line, you got to come back up. You got rest, you got time to do all that, and then the third line, you got chords. So you work out the hands separately, go back and put them together into the first line, the last measure of the first line. You're here, and make sure you can play the hands together, and you get the rhythm worked out, and you're putting that in there, and you're slowly building this thing up so you can play it just a piece at a time. Take your time with it, and when you get all that, and the rhythm's working and the hands are working and you can move it around and the thumb is working like it's supposed to, then you go back and you add the dynamics. It starts out loud. That's the melody. Well, the only thing there is melody. It's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, 3. It's loud. And then at the end of the line, the right hand comes in. The melody is loud. It's in the right hand. The left hand has to be a little softer now. Keep the left hand down. And now you're crescendoing to very loud. 2 F's is fortissimo. Very loud. Oh, they give it at the top. Now you can get louder than this, so it's not as loud as you can get. It's just very loud. It's loud. And now you're going to stay there, going on. Collapse the wrist with each of these. Let the weight help you push it down. Don't use finger. 1 and 2. 2. Now third line, now you come down to medium loud. And that's the right hand. The left hand's got to be soft. And don't forget the rest in the left hand. And the third beat, when the right hand plays those eighth notes, the left hand comes up. And there's a phrase break there in the right hand. Lift up. Now the last line, now you're loud. That's the melody. Keep the left hand a little softer. And remember the last line, second measure, the left hand has a rest. So when the right hand plays that A, the left hand has to come up. We want to hear the melody throughout the whole thing, regardless of which hand has it. Now I went through that pretty quickly. You may have to watch that more than once. I tend to get into the music and get excited, and then I go and I go and I go, and it's just up to you to try and keep up as best you can. So when you get all that worked out, and the dynamics are there, and the phrasing is there, and the fingering is there, and you can get the melody like it's supposed to, then you can add the pedal if you want. So the pedal is shown in just a few spots here. On the second line, second measure, it's shown there. I'm going to push the notes down. I'm going to push the pedal down. I'm going to lift the pedal with the notes, or with the hands, before I go on, because I want a little silence before I play that quarter note. It's a new phrase. So it's here. 2, 3, hold, 2, 3. And then you go on. And third line, you get the pedal in that third measure to connect the chords. So it's here. Push the pedal down right after I play the notes. And lift the pedal with the hands before I play the eighth notes, because it's a new phrase. I want silence. So it's here. So we get a little silence. Same pedaling technique in the last line, first measure. Lift the pedal before you play the eighth notes, because it's a new phrase here. And then at the end of the piece, the last measure, I'll push the pedal down right after I play the notes. And at the end of 4 counts, I'm going to lift the pedal in the hands at the same time. Everything like so. And that's the pedal. That's how that works. Now for the fermata there on the second line, I'm going to double that because I'm playing with a metronome. So I'm going to hold that for 6 counts instead of 3. And I like you to play it with me. It says joyfully. Most people are actually familiar with this piece. I'm not doing joyfully and the play with me. I'm doing slowly. You can do joyfully on your own. So I'll give us 4 counts and let's play this together. Your right hand starts here, or excuse me, the left hand starts, I don't know where you're at. The left hand starts here and the right hand is here. So go ahead and put your right hand there and have it ready to go, and put your foot on the pedal at the beginning too and have it ready to go. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. 2, 3. Hold. 2, 3. And 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3.